Finnegans Wake, Book 2, Episode 4. 3 quarks for Muster Mark. Sure he hasn't got much of a bark. And sure any has, it's all beside the mark. But old Ren Eagle Almighty wouldn't unbe a sky of a lark to see that old buzzard whooping about for unshirt in the dark, and he hunting round for unspeckled trousers around by Palmerston Park. Ho, 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 multi-mark. You're the rummest old rooster ever flopped out of Noah's Ark, and you think you're the cock of the walk. Fowls up, Twisty's the spry young spark that'll tread her and wed her and bed her and red her without ever wrinking the tail of a feather, and that's how that chap's gonna make his money and mark. Overhoved, shrill glees screaming, that song sang sea swans. The winging ones, seahawk, seagull, curlew and plover, kestrel and capercailzie, all the birds of the sea, they trolled out right bold when they smacked the big cuss of trustin' with us only. And there they were too when it was dark, whilst the wildcaps were circling as slow their ship, the winds slight. Upborne the fates, the Wardorse moved by courtesy of Mr. Doe below. Down below, Camper Sally, listening in as hard as they could, in Double-Dorp the Donker by the Toonie-Fold of the waterfalls, with their Voaxons and their Keeman in so hackety, only a $quarter a skull for the last acts, to the Solons and the Sycamores and the wild geese and the gannets, and the migratories and the mistlefushes and the auspices, and all the birds of the rock by succorous oceanal sea, all 4 of them all sighing and sobbing and listening, Michael a hoikling. They were the big 4, the 4 master waves of Erin all listening. 4. There was old Matt Gregory, and then besides old Matt there was old Marcus Lowndes. The 4 waves, and oftentimes they used to be saying grace together. Right enough. Browns not either, in Miracle Square. Here now we are the 4 of us. Old Matt Gregory and old Marcus and old Luke Tarpey. The 4 of us, and sure, thank God there are no more of us. And sure now you wouldn't go and forget and leave out the other fellow, and old Johnny McDougall, the 4 of us, and no more of us, no. So now pass the fish, for Christ's sake, amen. The way they used to be saying their grace before fish, repeating itself after the interims of Augsburg for old Lang Syne. And so there they were, with their palms in their hands, like the Pulcrum's procles, spraining their ears, listening and listening to the oceans of kissing, with their eyes glistening, all the 4 when he was kiddling and cuddling and bunny-hugging, scrumptious his Colleen Bown, and Dinkum Bell and Oscar sister on the 15-inch love-seat behind the chief tennis. Stewardess Cubbin, the hero of Gaelic champion, the onlyest one of her choice, her blowy-eyed Dale of a girlfriend's neither bugalow nor small nice, meaning pretty much everything to her then. With her sinister dexterity, light and rough handling, vicem versum her ragbags, et arms, fore and aft, oft and oft sides, the brew bunt 6-footer Hanson and Hudson, that was palpably wrong and bubbly improper, and cuddling her and kissing her, tutti-face chamon in her ensemble of maidenhair blue, with an overdress of net tickled with goldies. Isolamizola, and whispering and lisping her about Trisolanisons, how one was whips, for one was two, and two was lips, for one was three, and dissimulating themself with his pogue like napogue. The dear annual. They all four remembered who made the world, and how they used to be at that time in the vulgar ear cuddling and cuddling her. After an oyster supper in Collins Bam, for under her missile thrush, and kissing and listening in the good old bygone days of Dion Bukakol, the elder in Arachnapog, in the other world of the passing of the key of Two-Tongue Common, with Nush the carrier of the word, and with Mesh the cutter of the reed, in one of the far back pitch-black centuries when who made the world, when they knew O'Clery the man on the door, when they were all four collegians on the nod, near the Nodderlands, near scurry white boys at Oak boys, peeper Tim boys, and piping Tom boys, raising hell while the sun was shining, with their slates and satchels, playing Florian's fables, and Cumenic suctions and Velicar frictions, and maximum members in the Queen's Ultonian colleges, along with another fellow of prime number Totius Grotius, and paying a pot of triplets to Boris O'Brien, the butler of Clumpthump, 2 loves, 2 turnovers, plus 1 crown, to see the mad Dane eating his vitals. Wolf, and throwing his tongue in the snake pit, aho, the ladies have messiahs. It brought the dear prehistoric scenes all back again, as fresh of yore. Matt and Marcus, natural-born lovers of nature in all her moves and senses. And after that now there he was, that mouth of Mandelbill's, vowed to pure beauty, and his napogue. When she murmurously, after she let a cough, gave her firm order, if he wouldn't please mind, for I sings to one hope, a dozen of the best favourite lyrical national blooms in love illicit, though not too much, reflecting on the situation, drinking in draughts of pure as air serene, and revelling in the great outdoors before the 4 of them in the fair fine night, while stars shine bright by the light of the moon, we longed to be spoon before her honey old loom, the plaint effect being in point of fact, there being in the whole a sea tuition so shocking and scandalous, and now, thank God, there were no more of them, and he poking. The plaint effect being in point of fact, there being in the whole a situation so shocking and scandalous, and now, thank God, there were no more of them, and he poguing and poguing like the monk bowed his crusted hold, and Tilly the tailors tugged at her in the Arctic newses. Dag's dogs number, and there they were, like the 4 masters in the rolls, listening to Rolando's deepened darble and Ocean roll. Lady, it was just too gorgeous, that expensive a lovely tint, embellished by the charms of art, and very well conducted and nicely mannered, and all the horrid, rudy noises locked up in nasty cubbyhole, as tired as they were, the 3 jolly topers with their mouths watering, all the 4, the old connubial men of the sea, yambling around with their old pantometer in Duckasalopics, Luke and Johnny MacDougall, and all wishing for anything at all of the bygone times, the wild times and the foul times, and the empty times and the dempty times, for a cup of kindness yet, for 4 far back tumblerfuls of woman squash, with them all 4 listening and spraining their ears for the millennium, and all their mouths making water. Johnny. Well, sure, that's the way up. And it so happened there was poor Matt Gregory up, their patty familiars, and up the others, and now really and up truly they were, 4 dear old ladies, and really they looked awfully pretty, and so nice and bespectable, and after that they had their fathom glasses, to find out all the fathoms on their half-a-tall hat, just like now the old Mercurius of Porshoof, the old determined despot, quiescent in Prague, only for the extrusion of the salt water, or the auctioneer there dormant in front of the place, near Old Cleary's, at the Dark Mound, number 1, beside that ancient Dame Street, where the statue of Mrs. Dana O'Connell, prostitute behind the Trinity College that arranges all the auctions of the valuable colleges, Booter's Bay sisters like the auctioneer Battersby sisters, the promiscuous creators that sells all the emancipated statues and flower sports, James H. Tickle, the J.P. of Hoggan Green after he made his centuries, going to the tail-turn horse show before the Anglo nomads, Flood, along with another fellow active, impulsive, and the shoeblacks and the redshanks and plebeians and the barrancos, and the capunchas, children, Jules, everyone, go to Poxy, with the hours on them, high step in the fissure and fracture lines, 7 5 3s up, 3 5 7s down. To get out of his way on as much as the weather's conditions could not possibly have been improved upon. Praises be to Destacy, like hopperlock-cattles, a rumping around, the judgedy yarmen and all the tercentenary horses and priest hunters, from the Goan and Confucianaries and authorities, nude Americans and Sud African cattle raiders, though they say, all over like Tiaro Dulfioico, in his grey half a tall hat, and his amber necklace, and his crimson harness, and his leathern jib, and his cheap shine, hair shirt, and his Scotterbridge sash, and his power pillage in gala glasses. How do you do, J.P. Elevato? To find out all the improper collages, and how do you do, Mr. Dame James? Get out of my way, fork-bearded and blue-toothed and bellied and boneless, from Strathclyde, Aylesbury and Northumberland Anglesey, the whole Yargout, sweepstakings and all the horse-powers. But now, talking of high and starners and woke ecology, and how our seaboard isle came into existence, the ex-Pluto, his 3 Andesistas, and the 2 Pantalarias, that reminds me about the monasteriums of the poor Marquis of Lyons and poor Johnny, the patrician, and what do you think of the 4 of us? And there they were now, listening right enough, the 4 saltwater widowers, and all they could remember. Long, long ago, in the olden times, Mammonian, throw darker our sorrows, the Princess Day, when fair Margaret waited sweet Willem and Lally in the rain, with the blank prince now extinct, and the reek of Romans know, the Barmecides, when my heart knew no care, and after that then there was no official landing of Lady Jael's casement in the year of the flood. 1132 SOS, and the christening of Queen Baltersby and the 4th Busby, according to her grace the Bishop Senior of the Waite Shape. And then there was the drowning of Pharaoh and all his pedestrians, and they were all completely drowned to the sea, the Red Sea, and then poor American Cornigwam, the official out of the castle on pension when he was completely drowned off Erin Isle at that time through a nose. In the Red Sea and the lovely morning paper, and thank God, as Simon said, there were no more of him. And that now was how it was, the azure and deeps of his own bone sweeps, and his widdy, the giddy, is wreathing her memoirs as her grace's tribute to the groceries traders monthly, Mind Man Gun-Free by Gladys Rayburn, Run Tables Reincorporated, the New World Presses, when the old conch crews now croons the yunk, Exoinks Roa Dowis, Cramer Lawn Rock, Ye gink I kirked into yord, enterest at a wonder weapon, Luftcat revolve, fair escapading in his nutshirts, true as he tumbles, and mild Aunt Lisa is as loose as her niece, full fest with him in brace behent, as Ghent would deem on continent. So mulct poor wench is Elska wooed, ne hath his thrusting fin like the newscasters in their old pliable of a Wyon devoise, Josephone, and Mimolovis, and Nippishy Net's best, Fing, I, Subos. And so he was, Subos.